The first day of the Overwatch League's fourth stage is over, and we now have a better idea as to how the league looks following the introduction of 222 Roll-Log, whilst we also receive some important information regarding the playoffs following the conclusion of this stage. So today, I want to briefly bring you guys my thoughts on yesterday's action, before breaking down all the information you need to know for the play-in and end-of-season playoffs. DPS players stole the show on their glorious release from the Brig Jails and Zarya Gulags of Season 2's previous three stages, but there were differences from the sides in terms of their preference for composition being run. Houston vs Paris was the curtain raiser, which brought some interesting questions with it, as Cruz debuted the first reworked play of Brigitte on Basan as one of the Eternals' two supports, to the surprise of many. It's fair to say that this didn't work out quite to plan, with the Outlaws dominating the early exchanges of their dive into the weird bunker setup from Paris. Houston took the first map simply enough, but from here on, the DPS duo of Soon and Shadowburn began to show up performances that were more recognisable from their 2018 form. On Widow, the Frenchman was brilliant and outplayed Lynxer in the head-to-head, while Shadowburn showcased the strength of Mei in the bunker setup in terms of preventing the opposition from pulled pork comp from working effectively. This bunker style from the Eternal looked much stronger throughout the rest of the series, and even forced the Outlaws onto it, away from their preferred dive, which saw Coolmath in particular struggle in the head-to-head against Finzi, as Paris came out of the series winners 3-1, giving some early suggestions of the strength of bunker in this current meta. This was highlighted throughout the rest of the day, as teams generally found the most success when running these sorts of compositions around Orisa, with either a D.Va or Roadhog as the accompanying flex tank, and a DPS duo that either stayed more faithful to the bunker comps that have been dominating in Europe, with Mei being run often, alongside usually a Widow, whereas some sides preferred having a Sombra and her EMP at their disposal, or another combination of mainly projectile heroes, with a few instances of Tracer and McCree seeing some action. In any case, Dive continued to struggle in the matchup against Bunker, especially away from control, with New York struggling to get into a rhythm, with that contributing to their surprising loss to the Gladiators on this opening day. Wrecking Ball saw the occasional bit of action, with it most notably being played by Hydration, who became the first player to truly flex away from his original position in this 2-2-2 roll-up, but this strategy worked brilliantly, winning Bassam for LA against the Excelsior. As for supports, a lot of teams still seemed undecided as to which supports they preferred, with Ana probably being run the most, but we saw quite a bit of playtime from the rest of them as well, which was an interesting sight to see, whilst also showing off how good the 2-2-2 roll-up has been for the viability of heroes at the support position, with it being more fluid unlike the tank position currently. Of course, it's still early days, but these early insights give us a primary indication as to how Stage 4, and potentially even the playoffs, are going to pan out in terms of composition and style. But more importantly, there seems to be a real positive energy back with the players and fans about the current state of the game, which was backed up by over 100,000 viewers tuning into the Twitch stream, up from the 80k that was so often seen in Stage 3, and hopefully this can continue, especially with all the games being really fun to watch, with the other two I didn't mention also great, with the Charge just edging out the Fusion in 5 maps, thanks to great contributions from Nero, Hotbar and Happy, as the old runaway DPS stars of Hureg and Haxel helped the Titans to a revenge victory over the Dragons. As for the news that dropped regarding the Overwatch League post-Stage 4, the first thing you need to know is that the game's newest hero, Sigma, will be fully playable by the time we reach the play-in bracket, after the end of its stage. I know I've been really enjoying trying him out on the PTR, with his kit being really unique and enjoyable to play with, which I think is a sentiment that's widely shared by a number of different people. What will be fascinating to see is which other tank he's paired with at the pro level, and how effective he actually is, with early signs that perhaps he synergizes well with a Hammond or Zarya, or as part of a double shield setup, but we'll get a better idea once the pro showcases talents on stage. More importantly, however, at least in my eyes, was the official confirmation about how the play-in bracket and end-of-season playoffs is being formatted and run. If you're not already aware about the qualification requirements, the top 6 get an automatic bye through to the playoffs, with division leaders in the Atlantic and Pacific taking the number 1 and number 2 seats respectively. The teams ranked then from 7 to 12 are inserted into a play-in tournament to determine our 2 other playoff sides, whilst the remaining 8 sides, from 13th or lower, are eliminated from the running. Throughout the playoffs, matches will be played as first to 4 maps, with the loser having map pick after the higher seed dictates the opening one, in exactly the same way that we've seen throughout the stage playoff semis and finals so far this season. Tackling the play-in bracket first, the teams that finish the season in 7th and 8th get a 1-game bye, whilst the 9th seed plays 12th and 10 plays 11. The winners of these matchups then go on to face the team that finished 7th and team that finished 8th, with 7th playing the lowest remaining seed, whilst 8th plays the highest remaining seed. And the winners of these 2 matches take up the final 2 playoff spots alongside the top 6 from the regular season to make our final 8 for the end-of-season playoffs. The play-in tournament takes place on Friday the August 30th and Saturday the 31st, with coverage starting at around 6 PM Pacific on the Friday, and earlier at closer to 12 PM on the Saturday, with timing still subject to change. In regards to the end of season playoffs for the final 8 teams, it's going to work exactly the same as normal, except it's going to be double elimination with losers bracket, meaning that losing one match doesn't immediately knock you out of the running and still allows the team to bounce back. This is very similar to how the Atlantic and Pacific Showdowns ran, with the exception there are now 8 and not 6 teams. These playoff matches begin on September 5th and run to September 15th, where we will have learned who the final 2 finalists are, and subsequently they will face off in Philadelphia on September 29th in the Grand Finals. I really like this setup as it covers the teams for just having off days while still punishing them for underperforming throughout. Also to telling a narrative depending on how results go, with the potential now for a team to come back from a first round loss to win all the way through the losers bracket and still be crowned champions, which I think will really increase interest in the playoffs as a whole and ensure that the absolute best 2 teams compete in the final at the end of it all. But I'd love to hear your opinions on this playoff format for the Overwatch League, as to whether you like the play-in and double elimination setup, or if you have your own idea that you think would work better, even if that was run last year. And with that, we reach the end of my Stage 4 Day 1 thoughts and news, and I'd like to thank you for watching. Over the weekend I'm hoping to talk a little more about the compositions and styles we're seeing from the teams at this stage. So if you enjoyed and don't want to miss out, please like, subscribe and follow me on Twitter for this continuing Overwatch League coverage and content. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.